From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, just how good is Alabama? Just how good is the ACC? Just how good is the head coaching job at UCLA? Little Miami talk and playoffs? We're generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. There's a promo code out there for all of our Warchant fans where you can buy one and get one free. Corey, can you relay it to the good people listening to this show of yours and ours?
It is warchantbogo. B-O-G-O.
That's right, everybody. Use that promo code to buy one, get one free. Buy five, get five free. You know how it all works. You also know how the Vitamin Energy works by now, I hope. 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine, no sugar crash, and then vitamins, nutrients, things like vitamin B, vitamin D. Get your focus right. Get your mood right. All with the bottle that you can take everywhere and pretty much anywhere you have to go. I shouldn't say like anywhere because like I think airport. Actually, no. TSA pre-check, 3 ounces. It's below the 3-ounce threshold. Boom.
There we go. Nice.
Problem solved. Take it everywhere, anywhere you got to go. VitaminEnergy.com. Use that promo code WarChampBogo to buy one, get one free. Also lets them know you're listening to the show and you're a big fan of the show and Vitamin Energy. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Students, come on down. Email support at warchant.com from your fsu.edu email address. We'll hook you up for a full year membership at warchant.com. No credit card required, no strings attached. Just email us from your fsu.edu email address. Support at warchant.com. Warchant.com, also $1 for the general public out there. And you'll get to access a year membership to The Athletic, which is great, but it's not quite as great as the writing and the columns you get from Corey Clark. Corey Clark joins us from his estate in Tallahassee.
Yes, correct.
Okay. How are you, man?
For a little while.
How'd it go?
I'm
I'm glad you're still here. I assume that you took down Biloxi, but you still love this job, so you wanted to show up and keep busy, and you don't want to retire early.
I actually had a great, for me, a really great showing in Biloxi and actually made some money. Hit a royal flush, which never happened, so that was fun. And that was my last hand of the night. So that was a good time. And, got after it a little too much. You know, I go out a lot. People know that. If you're at Corner Pocket and I'm in town, if you're in Tallahassee and you want to see me on a night, I'm probably at Corner Pocket if I'm in town. But I don't get after it at Corner Pocket. You know what I mean? I'll have 2 cocktails. Literally, that's all I ever have. And I split them up between 4 different water drinks. This trip, I'm still a little bit screwed up by it. I'll be honest with you. But I'm going to power through, everyone. I'm going to power through. I just drove 4 hours, about to do the show, feeling okay, and going to try to power through it before I go take a nap.
And then after that, you're going to drive to your estate in Atlanta, the greater
Correct.
Atlanta area.
Yeah, it's good times. Good times here. And then a lot of back and forth over the next 3 months or so.
Were you an animal or hawk guy when it came to Road Warriors?
Which one was the one with the mohawk?
Animal.
I thought it was both of them. That's why I said it. Yeah, whoever wasn't one of their sons was a linebacker at Ohio State, right?
I think Laurinaitis.
So
I think Animal. I think it was Animal. I think it was his.
There you go. That's the one.
All right, let's get to the mailbag, everybody. Sorry for the abrupt announcement of it, but with the schedule being weird because of coming off the bye week and such. But we will typically do this for the Tuesday program. It'll be posted on Mondays over on warchant.com's Tribal Council. Get involved. We start off first one in, first one out, Dalvinism. And we're also going to pair that up with our guy Greenville. Wake up curious. Now that we're a couple weeks out, how do you view that Alabama win? Seems obvious they're a very good team, but the narrative is already forming that we just caught them completely sleepwalking. And I do think there's some truth to that because their whole offense is operating at an extremely high level since that game. But maybe, just maybe, our defense is just that good. How do you square all this? And then Greenville pretty much says the same thing. My question is, with Bama looking stout, is it okay to allow ourselves to believe again? Living in Clemson country, all I hear is it was their first game BS. And as an eternal pessimist, I need y'all to talk me back to allowing myself to believe again. It looks like Miami will be the big test, in my opinion. What say you?
So which one do you want to start with? Just talk about Alabama.
Yeah,
as
I
a
guess
whole
just
to win?
how do we square it up, right? Like, like I'm with Dalvinism. Like I do think there is a modicum of truth in the fact that you caught them maybe, they didn't have a full idea, which actually, I mean, listen, it's Gus Malzahn's offense. But yeah, there's nothing on tape with him and this whole offense. So who knows how things would look in 6 weeks. Ty Simpson, first real start, very energetic, intimidating environment. Seems to have gotten that out of the system. But let's see how he plays on the road elsewhere. Like if he goes on the road and starts slicing people up, I don't know, Corey. Would that mean that he's turned some kind of corner? Or would that just be like, man, Florida State's defense is legit because it really locked him down? It's too soon, I think, though, to quibble over whether or not it's truly like a quality quad one win, if we want to call it that, Corey. Like, that's a talented Alabama team. You came out the gates rusty and maybe not expecting what they were going to do as much. And you took it to them for, I don't know, maybe like 57 minutes of that football game. You dominated them, it seems. So that's a legit win and is a legit reason to believe that you are playoff caliber when we're talking about a 12-team field.
Look, I think Simpson has looked good these last 2 weeks, but we all understand who he was playing. Like that, it's about to get real. So, yeah, right now the win looks better than it would have, but it's not like I thought they were going to be 0-3. Like I had a pretty good feeling they would be 2-1 after that loss. They were going to win their next two games. I don't know if they play this weekend or not, but I know 2 weeks from now is Georgia.
Yeah.
So that's the test, right? If they go in there and beat Georgia, then yeah, start sticking your chest out and say what a great win it was. But we don't know what anybody really is, as we've said. But I just don't think we could say that Alabama is an elite football team or one of the best teams in the country because they throttled Louisiana Monroe and did what they did to a mediocre Big Ten team that just can't compete with them athletically. Now, they could be good. It's certainly been impressive how Simpson has looked and rebounded from that performance, but I don't know yet. I think you're right. I think it's too early to know just what that win is. But I am very confident that if Alabama and Florida State both end up 11-1, one will be ranked higher than the other at the end of the year. That's just how life works in 2025, and they will get the benefit of the doubt of that was their first game. But also, there is some truth to that. Like, one of the reasons I thought that Florida State had a legitimate chance to hang in that game and be competitive and maybe pull out a win is because it was a guy making his first start at quarterback, his first real start at quarterback. It was the unknown of playing a Florida State team with a brand-new roster and a brand-new coaching staff, and it was a road game. You caught Alabama at a great time. They would probably be much harder to play 6 weeks from now, you think. The flip side of that is Florida State might be a lot better. Like Alabama, SEC teams aren't the only ones that are allowed to get better as the season goes along. Florida State can too. And so, again, we'll see what this thing looks like in the middle of the season. Because of the way Alabama looked and throttled those two teams and looked really good doing it, yeah, I guess it seems like a better win, but we'll see how. Ask me after the Georgia game, right? That's when we'll know. And that'll be the day after the Virginia game. So you might not even care that Alabama beat Georgia if Florida State stubs its toe against Virginia. So it'll all work itself out, right, Aslan?
Yeah, it would have been nice if they were playing Virginia this week because that probably gives us a pretty decent barometer, right? Like the Wisconsin versus Virginia, kind of how those games would play out.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, they're both probably mid-tier teams in their conferences, Wisconsin in the Big Ten and obviously Virginia in the ACC. With that said, Jamaica Noles says, by the way, thank you, everybody, for all the congratulations I've received on my engagement. It's been overwhelming and awesome. Tweets, emails, text messages, message board posts. Thank you, everybody. Because there's a lot of these, like, congratulations, Aslan, so I don't want to pause every single time.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Anyhow, Jamaica Noles says, wake up, congratulations, Aslan. If the first Friday night road game of the season plays out like the first road game of the 2023 season, Chestnut Hill, Boston College, Tommy Castellanos, would you be encouraged Florida State pulled off a tough conference road win, or would you like to see a more dominant performance in the next two games, including Kent State here, to really make you believe this team can be something special? Like you say, those road conference games are never easy. Virginia could be a problem.
Dare you say?
Yeah.
Look, it'd be a great sign if they went and handled business comfortably at Virginia. It's just hard to expect something like that when it's your first road game. You are a better team than them, I think. But, Virginia isn't terrible, it doesn't look like. And they play this weekend, right?
Let me double check.
I know I keep asking you that. I can't ever remember if they're when they play again, or maybe they play the Saturday.
They got
When do
Stanford.
play?
They got Stanford this week. They're hosting Stanford.
Okay, there you go. That's a nice test. And so Stanford coming off a dub at least, so that was good to see. Our ACC brethren getting a big win. I think that if they go in there and you just get out of there with a win. I don't care. I know it's a cliche to say I don't care if you win by a point. I don't care if they win by a point. I am solely focused on hoping that both of those teams are undefeated for Florida State Miami. I think that would be awesome. I think it'd be a wonderful atmosphere. They'd both probably be top 5-ish. That would be really cool to get to experience that again, and for this fan base to get to experience a game like that and a build-up like that. Also, I kind of think the 2023 team was special. I think that was a special team. I don't think that road win, looking bad, that didn't portend to anything, right? It just because they struggled and limped to the finish line against Boston College, it didn't mean that they weren't as good as we thought. You know what I'm saying? Because they still went undefeated. So it wasn't it wasn't a harbinger or a sign of bad things to come. It was just a bad game. So if they go over there up to Charlottesville and don't play well and escape, quote unquote, with a win, that doesn't mean they can't go accomplish great things. It just means it was a tough game and they were maybe even lucky to get out of there with a W.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Again, like these 15-0 teams that we've seen some of them come across the last few years, like they struggled in some games, right? Like again, LSU, Florida State, even Florida State 2013, right? Like that Boston College game was a bit hairy for a long time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they were down 14-3, and Boston College was driving to, I think, try to go up 21-3 and settled for a short field goal.
So I won't. There will be no demerits if you get out of Virginia with a win, like. Even if it's a 1 point, you just feel like you're still on track. Like you're still on track. Yep. You're still on your trajectory to hit your projection of like being like a playoff team. Now you go in there and you beat the brakes off of them. Like you beat them by 4 touchdowns. Then I start thinking, okay, man, maybe they could get hot and win 3 additional games after December.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So. Yeah, I guess. I just think that, but then we can think like that, but the beauty of sports and of a season is that the next week is coming up to smack you in the face.
That's true.
So you might think, oh man, they looked great. They're going to be a semifinal team in the playoffs, and then you lose at home to Miami. And you're like, well, this team sucks. It's not even making a bowl, or it's not even making a playoff game. Like that's the ebb and flow and the reactionary nature of this sport in particular, because it's only once a week. Not every game is a narrative on the season. Not every game is an indictment or something to like. It's not again. I keep using the word harbinger. It doesn't always necessarily mean a harbinger of things to come, either good or bad. Sometimes it's just a week. It's just a game. So yeah. That said, yes, I would be very, very pleased if they go out. If they go beat Virginia. You start to ask that you could legitimately. I know I just said the exact opposite here. You might legitimately start thinking. Yeah, this might be one of the best teams in the country. Yeah. Like, it's not easy to go win on the road. It just isn't, not in Power 4 football. If you go win on the road comfortably and you're playing backups in the fourth quarter, yeah, you might have one of the best teams in the country. You certainly were well in your rights to think it. But then, what if the next day Alabama loses by 40 to Georgia? And then you go and lose to Miami the next week. What you thought on that Friday night in Charlottesville doesn't matter anymore. I guess that's my point. But it would be a great sign, I think.
DRAS40, beyond the stat sheet, what is the single most important non-negotiable you need to see from FSU versus Kent State to believe they have shored up their biggest potential weakness and are truly prepared to handle the physicality and depth of the ACC's top contenders later in the season? Thank you guys for making the drive to work doable in Omaha, Nebraska traffic.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
I love
Omaha, the home of our new what belt did Crawford just win? The welterweight, super welterweight.
How was
whatever
that?
he just won.
I wanted to watch it, but I was celebrating the engagement and such. Was it actually like a good, entertaining boxing fight?
It was a great fight.
Oh,
yeah, it was
man.
a really good fight. They were both throwing. Crawford is a very good fighter, and now he's still undefeated and just beat an all-time great. And he went up 2 weight classes to do it. It was really impressive. And he's from Omaha.
Yes, correct. Correct.
Yeah, I don't know, though. What do we think? Look, the thing that's always going to worry me are what I still think could be the biggest concern is just the front seven in the depth if you start having some injuries and some hobbled guys. But I also trust this staff to be able to put together a game plan or put people in places to succeed and do something well. And not, you know what I mean? Like I think if, say, a defensive end went down for a game or two, you can't replace maybe a James Williams, but you can, in the aggregate, you can find people to do some of the things he can do, perhaps, just as an example. I just worry, though, that the depth as the season goes along and you're playing 8 straight conference games, I think you get 1 bye week in there. You get some nicks and some injuries. I don't know if the second and third string, I just worry about that up front. Honestly, I just worry about that up front, really on both lines of scrimmage.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to add to that. And but still, I mean, I don't know what they could do against Kent State. I mean,
exactly. There's nothing I could foresee them doing against Kent State that would make me think that, oh, man, whatever ailment I thought they had, that's been taken care of. I don't know
if they end up jumping out to a 35-0 lead in the first quarter and then they play backups from the second quarter there on out and they pitch a shutout. They're like, all right, man. I know, granted, they're shutting down Kent State, but like if it's a bunch of second and third teamers that end up playing, 40 minutes of football, and they get you a shutout, still they preserve. They're like, all right, maybe they actually have some really good pieces behind them too. But that's pretty far fetched, and that's just me playing along to the question. But we appreciate it, D-Raz, and shout out to our friends over in Omaha. We're gonna take some of the drama out of the balloon. It's generating discussion that's sparked by Cummins. We showcase the best question of every week that does the best of generating discussion, Corey, and it's playoffs. Playoff-themed questions. We got 3 of them, though. 3 men enter. Who will exit as the winner? We'll find out here in the coming seconds. Random_John. He's here. He says, what do you think is more important for FSU's season narrative? Running the table convincingly, just surviving week to week and letting the rest of the sport cannibalize itself? And how will the committee either use both of these to snub us again? Then we also got Sammy Noles. Sammy Noles, very positive thinker. He's thinking about how are things going to work out with everybody else in the conference. I think even 11-2 with an ACC championship loss, we're probably okay. The one scenario that puts us squarely on the bubble would be if we go 10-2 and miss out on Charlotte. So let's say we lose 2 close games versus Miami and Clemson. Do you think we would still get in? And then last, but certainly not least, but he was the last one in. I didn't mean to do this all in chronological order, Corey, but these are all chronologically the way they came in. And then Osceola, who knows how this show works, since a long soliloquy is not preferred. Here's my question. With Georgia Tech looking as competitive as they have thus far, could this be the year 3 ACC teams make the playoff? Is this the strongest top half of the ACC we've seen in the last decade? Corey, before we generate the discussion, generate some power for us. Hit that button, big dog.
Oh, yeah. There you go. About button time. There you go.
Generate discussion. It's sparked by Cummins. Give them a follow on Instagram. It's all one word, Cummins Lifestyle. Follow them. You'll see all the awesome things you can do in your downtime when you're up with power with Cummins behind you. So do it. Give them a follow. I was going to give it to Sammy Noles, and I feel bad going against Armchair Osceola because he did do the assignment and not give us a lot of preamble, but I think Sammy Noles, we'll give it to him this week. Armchair Osceola, keep playing, buddy. Keep playing. Random_John's already won once. All right, Corey, so I don't know. I should have maybe not dictated to you. Which direction do you want to go? Florida State's narrative, do they need to be dominant or do they just need to win, survive, and advance like Random_John says? Are there on the bubble scenarios that you see with Florida State, and is the conference as a whole, is this the best the top half has been since ever?
Yeah, too early for that. Georgia Tech does look good, and when you look at Georgia Tech's schedule, man, I don't think they play Miami. I think they're going to be favored in every conference game they have left. So there is a chance they could. I mean, they have a pretty easy road to get there. Now they're not the most talented team in the country, but they have a pretty easy road to get there. They got a good quarterback, so who knows how this thing is going to play out. It's too early to know, though, just how good any of these teams really are. It seems like Miami and Florida State are both very, very good. And Georgia Tech looks darn good, too. But, again, we'll see. They got to go on the road. They didn't exactly light it up in Boulder against a not good Colorado team. So we'll see what this looks like moving forward. But, yeah, for the Florida State, the 2-loss scenario, that's when we go back to that's when you would go back and be like, okay, what is Alabama? Like if Florida State has 2 losses and they're let's say Florida State has 2 losses and Notre Dame has 2 losses. But Florida State has a win over Alabama on its resume. Notre Dame doesn't play anybody good the rest of the year. Anybody that's ranked currently right now.
USC
So,
is. But that's it.
Yeah. But were they 23rd or something? Like, and who knows if they're good. So, not a lot of marquee games, not a lot of chances for marquee wins. So if they finish, even if they run off 10 in a row, Florida State's sitting there at 10-2 with 2 close losses, but a win over Alabama. I feel like, and it's not like Notre Dame's playing in a conference championship game. So I feel like for that sake, that's the one instance where I would feel comfortable that the committee would choose Florida State over Notre Dame. I that's probably dumb of me to think that, but I just think the fact that they would have an Alabama win if Alabama ends up being good, like playoff caliber good, and also screw Notre Dame. You don't play in a conference. Sorry, this is one of the drawbacks. You don't get a chance to go win a conference because you're not in one. And I know Florida State wouldn't be playing for a conference championship, but they're still competed in a conference. So yeah, that would be the scenario. I just have a hard time believing a 2-loss ACC team is going to get in over a 2-loss SEC team, and there's probably going to be a few of those. You know what I mean? I just think it's going to be hard. Same thing with the Big Ten. I think there's going to be a few Big Ten teams. I don't know that the ACC, even with a win over Alabama, I'm not confident that it would be a no-brainer because they didn't make their conference championship game.
Yeah.
But if it's Clemson, Miami, and they're like, or Miami, Georgia Tech even, and they're both in the top 10-ish, there's no shame in not making that conference championship game, and maybe all 3 get to go. It might be a scenario, Aslan, I could see this happening, where like you're desperately rooting for Clemson not to win the conference. Like say Miami's 11-1 or 12-0. I know we shouldn't speak that kind of stuff, but let's say it. If Miami's 12-0, they're in the playoffs no matter what. No matter what, win or lose the ACC championship game, they're in the playoff. Clemson's fighting for its life. And if they're like 9-3, but they've somehow gotten to Charlotte and they've won the game and they win that game, they're taking the other ACC team's spot, right? Like I think Clemson might have done that to Miami last year.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Miami might have gotten in maybe if Clemson doesn't win the ACC, but they took, it's like they stole a bid. And so that's what you might be desperately rooting for some teams to win their conference championship games if you're at that point at 10-2.
Man, this is Georgia Tech's remaining schedule.
Yeah.
Temple at Wake, Virginia Tech at Duke, Syracuse, at NC State, at BC, Pitt, and then Georgia, which doesn't probably mean anything because if they run the table, then they're in Charlotte, regardless of what they do on the flats. Yeah, I don't.
You can get in that Boston College game right now for $11, Aslan.
I see that.
Tickets as low as $11 on Chestnut Hill. What's going on?
I'm trying to think. I should have the poll up in front of me as I talk through myself through this, but. I mean, when you think about the top teams in the Big Ten, right? So like Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, feels like those are kind of like locks, right? And then, Georgia, LSU at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even though they lost one, Texas, even though they haven't looked good.
No.
I mean, Texas has not looked good, but yeah, I mean, between like, if Oklahoma's legit and if Alabama keeps winning football games, just, you kind of go through this list, but then, yeah, like to your point, if Georgia Tech runs a table, plays Georgia cleanly, and they're 11-1, whatever happens in Charlotte, I think they get the SMU treatment. I think they get let in, and then whoever beats them obviously jumps in there too. But yeah, I think it's like, if it was going to be more than 2 teams, it's going to have to be at this point, it feels like, Corey, right? It have to be like Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Like if 3 teams from the ACC do get in, like something has to happen with those 3 teams. Cause I don't know, like Clemson, they already have an ACC loss. And, if they beat Florida State, then we're probably on the outside looking in, getting into Charlotte.
But not if Florida State's beaten Miami.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we have no idea. It's, as we know, it's way too early to speculate about something that's going to happen in December with this sport anymore because nothing is known. Nothing is nothing is in concrete. It's all fluid. The whole season is fluid from week to week, from game to game. But there is a scenario where Clemson, Florida State, and Miami, if Florida State has wins over Miami and Alabama, and they don't make it to Charlotte, and then Clemson beats Miami, but so Clemson's 10-2, Miami's 11-1 or 10-2. Florida State's 10-2, and those were all pretty competitive games. I could see a scenario. It won't. Our Georgia Tech is in there. Like I could see a scenario where they take 3 ACC teams. They might. I mean, that's human nature too, Aslan. If Florida State's on the bubble, they might feel really bad about 2023. I doubt it. But there are human beings in that committee that maybe feel bad about it and give Florida State a chance to play in the 2025 playoffs. But we are getting way ahead of ourselves right now, obviously.
Yeah, and with that said, Corey, not to throw cold water on this, but let's maybe relax a little bit. I get it. Like after what happened last year, to look as good as you did in these first 2 games, it's hard not to think about it. And Sammy Knowles' point, looking at the schedule, you start thinking about if they win this one, lose that one, how does it all work out? I'm not the biggest analytics guy, but I know Bill Connolly over at ESPN does a lot of stuff. His SP Plus, ranking. So this would be based just on what has happened on the field, on the grass. Nothing about your recruiting rankings, nothing about where you started in the polls, none of that. And he's got Florida State as the 12th best. I don't know if best is the right word, but they're number 12 on this list.
Right.
So
Alabama's nowhere to be seen.
They are.
Neither is Georgia.
Yeah. Which is crazy because, I could get like Utah maybe looking a little bit better. Like, I don't think has Washington. Apparently, Washington's done something over the first 3 weeks that's made them look good enough to be, 7th on this list. So it is early. Let's see what happens, I think, in Charlottesville, man. From there, then it's because right now, what's going to happen against Kent State that's going to change anybody's mind on anything. But I guess, what happens down in Miami Gardens could, though, right, Corey? Because if Florida beats Miami, then you start thinking, all right, man, then at that point, maybe you can start really dumping gas on the playoff talk.
Yeah, it was sure, but then it's like, okay, if you somehow lose to Miami that just lost to Florida, well, now you just lost to a team that lost to Florida, and that's going to ding you. There's so much to work out. I do think it's cool, and I appreciate it just in the sense that where we were last year, that all of us, that now we are here talking about playoff scenarios. We all understand. I think anybody that even asks those questions understands. We're way, way, way away from that. That is way down the line, but if you can speculate what it would look like in certain situations, and none of them are crazy. Like, it's not crazy to think of Florida State being in Charlotte. It's not crazy to.
What about that one though, Corey? What about Florida State 11-1 going into Charlotte but losing? And man, I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to say it's a rematch against Clemson or Miami, or if it's a brand new game against Georgia Tech.
I think if you're 11-1 in a Power Four and you get to your conference championship game, let's play it out. They're 11-1, so what are they ranked going into that week? With a win over Alabama and either a win against Miami or a road win at Clemson. Those are both marquee kind of wins. Say they lose to NC State.
Yeah, let's say they lose to NC State. They're probably ranked top 3, top 4 at that point.
And they lose to NC State, but they probably go to 7.
Yeah, 7th or 8th, yeah.
Yeah. You don't drop out of the top 12 for losing a conference championship game while other teams didn't even have to play in theirs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're ever going to punish teams for losing their conference championship games. That's they made that point last year, I thought, with the SMU thing. They don't want to punish people for advancing and getting to because then people are going to stop playing in the championship games and they're going to make them irrelevant. So I don't think a conference championship loss, if you're inside that top 12, will impact you at all.
Slightly nervous that they could say you've lost 2 out of your last 3.
Screw them.
That's my
Ohio State had lost 1 of its last 1. They won the whole thing. Or no, they won. Did they win the conference championship game?
They didn't play in it. It was Oregon, Penn State.
That's right. So they lost their last game, and they still did all right. So no, I get it, but they will not, because as soon as they do, that's why they had to take SMU last year, even though they didn't want to, because SMU was in. SMU was firmly in. They can't lose. Getting to a conference championship game can't be a punishment. You can't get punished for playing in a conference championship game, or they will stop playing in the conference championship games.
Is this the best the ACC has been in the top half ever? Lifetime? Can you remember since when? 2014, 2016, I think there were some good runs there when Lamar was in Louisville. Yeah,
you had Lamar and Dalvin and Deshaun Watson all at once in the ACC. That was a good time. Yeah, it's hard to say. Again, I don't want to make that declaration yet. I just want to get to October 4th with Miami and Florida State unbeaten. That's all I hope for, folks. And I know you're like, quit rooting for Miami to win. Well, I'm rooting for them to beat Florida. So it's not like, you know what I mean? Like now,
rooting for Florida to lose.
Exactly right. I'm rooting for Florida to lose. It just so happens they're playing Miami.
When that team does roll into town, I'll be at the same tailgate you're at, Corey, and it's the best tailgate, I think, in all of Tallahassee.
Yeah, right.
And it's an RV, and inside that RV resides a Cummins RV generator. Give them a follow on Instagram. Cummins Lifestyles, all in word. We certainly would appreciate it. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, the unofficial sports bar of warchant.com. And all the Florida State fans here in Tallahassee, come on by for the meet and greet on Friday at 5 o'clock. Jeff Cameron, Corey Clark, Tom Lang, other dignitaries from the Warchant brand possibly on hand at 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Weekday happy hour 4 to 7 p.m. And then all day Sunday, TVs galore, 40 of them in all, ice cold drinks, delicious food, billiards, darts, jukebox, anything you could possibly want from your favorite sports bar. It's all there in one place. It's called Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Trivia on Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, bingo. And it'll be good to get back at the CP Core, the kind of the last dress rehearsal before the Miami game, which is just going to be absolute pandemonium. Can't wait.
It'll be like a scene we've never seen before, Aslan. It'll be a scene out of a movie if they're both undefeated. That Friday night at Corner Pocket, the Saturday night after the game, before the game, keg stands everywhere. I think Jeff said he's going to do a keg stand. We're all going to make it happen at the Corner Pocket, and that's just the place to be, folks. That's the place to be. I feel like I'm losing my voice. I've already lost some brain cells. I'm trying my best to hold on. Bill, you'll get a better ad read tomorrow, I promise. Everybody understand that Corner Pocket is the place to be, though. Just deal with it. When you're in Tallahassee, come to Corner Pocket.
CPTallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchants presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, warchantbogo, your promo code, buy one, get one free. Last show we recorded quite early in the day on Sunday, but we did give the caveat that by the time you guys listen to it on Monday, there'd be a good chance that there'd be some coaches fired. And two were at the Power 4 level. Brent Pry over in Virginia. Is it Brent Pry?
Yeah.
Then who's our guy in Georgia Tech?
Brent Key.
Yeah. I don't know why that confused me. I'm sorry, everybody. I apologize. And then Deshaun Foster over at UCLA, former Bruin alum, given the heave-ho. So North Alabama Noel asked us this because we really didn't get to talk about it on the show on Monday, Corey. If UCLA or Virginia Tech come knocking on Tony's door mid-season and he leaves, where does Norvell go? Zach Arnett may be the one currently on staff that could take over the role mid-season. If Arnett is not an option or he were to hypothetically leave with Tony, is there a scenario where FSU maintains its projections for the 2025 season while being defensive coordinatorless after just a few games? P.S. Corey, can we get the Clark-Cameron duo in garnet and gold, one tearing up the gridiron while the other takes on the diamond? Let's make it happen.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something if Jeff's kid is a receiver at Florida State and Brady's on the baseball team? I don't know if their paths are on that trajectory, their athletic careers. But hey, I think Jeff's kid's a good football player, so hopefully if he wants to, he can play college somewhere.
Let me add this before you go as well, Corey. Our guy Big Steve-O, 22, says with those jobs open, UCLA and Virginia Tech, what do you think is the motivating factor for anyone wanting to be a head coach these days? Portal, NIL, revenue sharing, seems like the pressure to succeed is pretty much immediate, unlike where you used to have time. Look at Gus. I understand his family played a role in him taking a step back, but he seems much happier in this role. So much parity. You never know how a team is going to look from year to year. I don't know. I'm not saying all this because of the potential to lose anybody, but it just seems like a goal to become a head coach has maybe lost its luster.
It's a fair point. I don't know. I think Tony White struck me as a guy that wants to be a head coach. I think he could be incredible running a football program, like being the face of a program. I think he could be exceptional at that. But I don't know that's going to. I mean, there's no sure things, and it's going back. If you can pay him the money, he would get more money being a head coach. You're a head coach and I'm just using UCLA as an example. You're a head coach in the Big Ten. That's very appealing. It's also his alma mater. That's very appealing. I would assume. But he's a Key West guy. Like, it's not like he grew up in Southern California. I know he went to school there, and then he was I didn't realize this. He was a head coach for 1 year at a high school in California before he went to UCLA as a grad assistant for a year. So he spent, 6-7 years of his life in Southern California. But, he's 46. So he spent most of his life elsewhere. And I don't know, man. I know this wasn't the question that was exactly asked, but I could foresee him waiting that one out and not doing that. I don't.
Well, also, real quick,
know.
Sorry, Corey. I don't think even if he takes a job, he's leaving mid-season. I can't imagine that. Like, even if he were to go see UCLA after the Stanford game, like, hey, I'm going to catch a different plane back, and they hammer out the contract, I don't think he leaves mid-season. I think he could take the job, but I would be shocked if he left mid-season.
Well, it's never happened before, but then none of this has ever happened before. When did we start firing guys 2 weeks into September?
Jimbo, man, listen, right? Kevin Sumlin, A&M, week 2, I think maybe after they lost to UCLA. I know Jimbo didn't.
That's right, they blew the lead, but Jimbo didn't take the job.
Yeah, I know. He kind of quit on you, but he didn't. He was still coaching, so.
But that's what I'm saying, I feel like all this stuff we're seeing with everything that's changed in the sport in the last 4 or 5 years, that it would not stun me if one of these guys, if UCLA just went and hired him. Like, what's the holdup? But coaches break contracts all the time. Why are you going to wait out for 4 months when other jobs start coming open? If you're UCLA and you know who you want, don't you just go and get them? And say, and let's just use Tony White as an example. I know you're the defensive coordinator at Florida State, but we've got a ship to resurrect. Again, to completely mix metaphors. We've got to turn this thing around, man. And we can't wait till December, and you've given all your focus to Florida State for the next 3 months. Meanwhile, you're trying to get us out of a ditch, and you've got to get your staff together. You've got to figure out who you want in the portal. You've got to start recruiting. Like, why wait? He'd have to break his contract at Florida State, but if I'm UCLA or Virginia Tech for that matter, and I know who I want, and I have a deal in place, I'm hiring you. And I'm saying, sorry, you're going to tell that team goodbye. All that to say, I don't think that's going to happen with Tony White. I would be surprised if that has not happened in college football, period. So it's just Corey Clark just saying something that probably should be happening but isn't. Because, right, like if Norvell was 0-2 right now, and they had just fired him because he lost to East Texas A&M, wouldn't you? What's the purpose of the interim coach? Like, I know you want to do a coaching search, but if you find your guy in the next 2 weeks and he's the OC at Alabama, bring him. Let him coach the next. What's the holdup? You know what I mean?
Well, you don't want to, have the bloom off the rose that early, right? I mean, like, what, he's going to try to install his offense terminology?
Well, maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe you don't hire him as if he's running the team then, but he's on campus. He's putting together a staff. He's getting ready for the portal because that's the most important time of the season, except for the season itself, is that 4 week window when you're putting together your roster for the next year. Why wait until December 4th? To speed all that up. So I know I went on a tangent there, but I do wonder if that might become the norm as we move forward with this crazy sport, where coaches will be hired away from other schools in the middle of the season, and they will go to those schools and say, I've got to get my staff together, I've got to start making phone calls, and I've got to start recruiting. But with Tony White, man, who was the last successful coach at UCLA? Has there been one in our lifetime? Was
Bob
it
Toledo?
No, it was who'd they have? The guy he was there for 20 years. He was
Gary
there.
Donahue?
Gary Donahue. That's it, right?
Tony Donahue, Gary Donahue, one of them, yeah.
I think maybe, Donahue.
Terry
Let's
Donahue.
Just go with Donahue.
Terry Donahue.
Okay.
Terry Donahue. 76 to 1995, won 151 games.
It's still not even great, though, right?
It's the most in UCLA history.
But it's 20 years, and you averaged about 7.3 wins a year. So
nothing
special.
5 times. Went to the Rose Bowl 5 times, man. That's how you measure success over there, man.
That's right. So good for it. He got to coach Troy Aikman after he left Oklahoma. But like, that's not a place where you ascend. That kind of the UCLA, in my opinion, is where your head coaching dreams go to die. You could go be a head coach there, but like
Look at Chip Kelly,
Neuheisel
man.
didn't succeed.
Yeah, Chip Kelly didn't succeed.
Right. Like the Deshaun Foster, like they haven't had a good coach in forever. You go there for a couple years, 3 years, you're not going to be any good. You're not going to get the best players in L.A., and you're going to be fired. You go to UCLA to be fired. Just ask the last guys they've all hired. Every single one of them's been fired or not done well. They had to leave. So
they give you time, though. I'm sorry, Corey. They do give you time other than Deshaun Foster. So Terry Donahue was there for 20 years, and Bob Toledo for 7, Carl Durrell for 5, which I cannot believe. Neuheisel for 4, Jim Moore Jr. 6, Chip Kelly there for 6.5. So they will give you time.
Listen to those names. Yeah, they will, but you're not gonna land on your feet. It's not going to be an upward. You're not going to be upwardly mobile when you use UCLA. UCLA should be a stepping stone job, but it isn't. You end up stepping off a cliff when you go to UCLA.
What do you think? And this is tough, but you're smart, so help out. So Tony White interviewed for this job a few years ago. Like,
yeah.
what
I think when they hired Deshaun Foster.
Yeah. What would change to where that is? Has he done enough now? Like, he's on his third school, his third turnaround, his third resurrection. So he's like, all right, man, like, I don't need to start at UCLA. Like, I am better than that. I am power 2 SEC, Big Ten, top tier teams. Like, that's my briar patch now. Like, what would have changed here in the last 2 years where Tony White's like, I want to interview for that job, to where now he'd be like, you know what? Actually, never mind. I don't want to say too good for it, but I'm going to wait it out. There's probably something better out there for me.
Yeah, I think if I was the UCLA AD, I would have been hard pressed to take a guy that he had been at Nebraska, I think, for a year.
Yeah,
and before that, he was at Syracuse. He was at Arizona State. He was, but he wasn't at like big boy schools. And he would only have been a DC at Nebraska, which is a Power 4 for a year. And then before that, he was at Syracuse for a couple years. But I don't know that the defensive coordinator at Syracuse is getting a head coaching job in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? Like, that's a reach. And that's what he was. He hadn't been in Nebraska long enough to really make a name for himself there and prove what he was. He had to impress him in the room, I would think, because, man, he is just an impressive human being to talk to. But, yeah, I would think the fact that if Florida State has a good season and has this turnaround on defense that we think they might have, that's appealing. I also just think his press conferences, the way he talks, the way he can kind of own a conversation and own a room and get players to play hard for him, all that would excite me as an AD. I'm sitting here telling Tony White, do not worry about your stupid alma mater, man. They're never going to be good at football. The last 60 years have proven that. You are not going to go turn them around. Wait for a better opportunity. I'm not selfish. I'm not telling you to stay at Florida State forever and be Mike Norvell's Mickey Andrews. I want you to go have a career, buddy, and I want you to go lead a Power 4 program and win trophies. But it ain't going to happen at UCLA. It's weird, right? Like, I feel like he's too good for that job. But he really isn't as far as resume, but it feels like he's too good for that job. And I want Tony White to land on his feet, like in Florida. Right, Aslan? Would you like Tony White to be the next head coach of Florida?
No.
I know. It's a joke.
Much rather
I don't want,
go with Jetfish. Go ahead and get Jetfish, guys. Good luck with that one. Believe it or not, actually, not believe it or not, but funny enough, he was actually teammates with Deshaun Foster. They both were at UCLA together. Yeah.
Huh. All right. So. But don't you think, like, I just think when you're the defensive coordinator at Florida State, and you do well, you should be aiming higher than UCLA. I know it's his alma mater, so that's a step up. But I just think, like, even in Virginia Tech isn't what Virginia Tech was, and it might not ever get back there again. But it does have some successful history. It was winning the ACC 15 years ago. It's had players. Maybe it could get back there again. I don't know how unless they really start to invest. UCLA is a cemetery of coaches. It's just not a place you can go in. And maybe he's the one that can turn it around, but, I mean, the last 7 guys couldn't do it. And Donahue was there for 20 years, and he got to a few Rose Bowls, but they're always going to be second fiddle in that city. And now they're in the Big Ten, where they're going to take beatings on the regular. So, anyway, Tony, I hope I taught you out of it. I know he's a loyal listener, Tony, and you might be swayed. It's your alma mater, cool uniforms. Don't go to – you don't want to – you know the taxes? You got no state income tax here, Tony. What do you think you're going to be paying out in California, man? Come on now. You've been out there. You know how it is. Stay in Florida, buddy.
Hey, let's talk about the Golden Flash. By the way, Tony White also did interview for the San Diego State job. So, like, he does want to be a head coach, clearly, right? Like,
100%. Yeah, he absolutely does want to be a head coach. That seems obvious. I would really like him, and not because I'm being selfish and want him around for another year. He should be discerning, because I think he has a chance to go get perhaps a special job if he is the defensive coordinator here at Florida State for 2 years and they win things. He'll have a chance to go get, in my opinion, a much better job than UCLA.
Play something out.
One that he could actually win there.
Game something out. Shane Beamer takes the Virginia Tech job. He wants to restore his dad's, crown jewel or whatever. South Carolina opens up. I mean, that's not a special job, but game out of situation. I mean, think about these teams, right? Like the top half of the Big Ten, the top half of the SEC, because those are the jobs you want to take, right? Like if Lane goes somewhere else, then do you want the Ole Miss job? Like, I don't know. I mean, if James Franklin doesn't make the playoff with this Penn State team, do they cut him loose and then you hope you get the Penn State job? Well, but hey, man, what are you waiting for with Penn State? I mean, every year they're supposed to be it. So
no, I mean, I just think it's the same thing. Like they people talked about Harbaugh couldn't beat Ohio State and he was struggling. I mean, it won't happen until it happens. But when you're consistently top 10, you can't fight. The guy's a really good coach. Like Penn State wasn't good when he got there. He was good at Vanderbilt too. Like James Franklin can coach. I think a place like South Carolina at least has had a little more recent success. Spurrier had some good years there. And I do think they have the resources to compete. I don't think UCLA has ever been serious about football. So it really almost is specific to UCLA. And I don't think so. I think he could do better than San Diego State as well. That ilk. Look, I'm saying all this. He's coached 2 games at Florida State, and one was against a directional Division II school. So I know we're way ahead of our ski. We're out in front of our skis here a little bit with what he's going to be at Florida State. It's just been a really impressive start, and I just think if he's as good a coach as I think he is, he could be one of the hot shot up and comers in a year or two. But then you wonder, do DCs? They don't really hire defensive coordinators as head coaches much, do they? It's usually an offensive guy.
Yeah.
For better or worse, it's usually an offensive guy, and usually it's worse. But maybe he's just not going to be that attractive a candidate because he coaches on the other side of the ball. I hope he's here for a decade.
Even
if his defense sucks, even if his defense ends up sucking, I just like interacting with the guy.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to get him on Sunday, so we'll see if anybody asks him. I can ask him too. I'm not on probation from asking him questions.
I'll ask him.
Grumpy BK, wake up. Here are my Golden Flash.
Sorry, real quick. I won't ask him. I'm gonna list all the seasons that UCLA has been really, really good at football, and that'll be my question. It'll be 1988. That year they blew it to Miami and with Cade McNown at their quarterback. 98, and that's it.
The end.
Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Roll credits. Fade to black.
Right.
Grumpy BK says, here are my Kent State Golden Flash inspired questions. Who on our roster not named Danzy would you nickname Golden Flash? There's 3 questions. So Squirrel? Do we have anybody that's blonde haired? I feel like maybe a blonde haired.
Nicholson,
person.
Is he blonde?
Yeah, there we go. Done.
Golden Flash, so you're going to go with the golden part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Flash.
He's fast. He's got some wheels.
He does, yeah, but he's not the fastest kid on the team or even close. So
what about defense, though? Might be able to hang with the defensive guys. At least the front
right.
6 or whatever. You going Squirrel?
No. We'll go with Nicholson.
Okay.
I say we'll go with Nicholson. The Squirrel's already got too good a nickname.
Yeah, that's true.
To be called himself Golden Flash.
Who on the roster is most likely to be a flash in the pan, where they've already made a big impact that may not continue throughout the year? I mean, I don't know. Why? We're 2-0. We just came off 2-10. Why think bad thoughts? But if I had to, back against the wall, I don't know if I'd be shocked if Deuce doesn't have any more 100-yard games.
I would. I don't think he's a flash in the pan. I think he's going to be one of the bigger parts of their offense. I literally think it's a good thing that I can't think of one. Sawchuck is going to be an important part. I think Danzy, look, Danzy's not going to rip off a 50-yard run every game, but I don't think he's stopped contributing. And they'll find a way to get him the ball. Same thing with Lucas, the receiver. And none of the Deuce and Squirrel made a big catch. That's about it.
What did the Sear twins freshman wall? They hit it maybe by November.
No, don't see that either.
Okay,
I don't see it.
All right,
I don't see them.
Okay.
You know, I don't. Yeah, I don't see it. I think everybody that is part of the real rotation, the offense. I'm thinking mainly offense, but part of the actual rotation, like the guys that played against Alabama more than 2 or 3 snaps. I don't foresee then any of them tailing off. I think they'll probably just get better.
I'm going to love it if Deuce ends up with like 8 more 100-yard games.
Yeah,
I just
starting
think,
this week, Deuce. I hope you heard it. I hope you heard that.
Love you, Dominic. Love your boy, too. I just think they can win games without that happening. Maybe, but that wasn't the question. That was what I was maybe trying to convey poorly. Last one, who on the roster is most likely to be gone in a flash? Either an underclassman gone pro or someone who transfers out for bigger money and exposure. Where could you possibly get more exposure and bigger money? Has Grumpy? I got to see if Grumpy's ever won. I failed you, Grumpy BK. This should have been the generating discussion question.
Oh,
should have. I apologize, you Grumpy BK. I'll try to make it
next
right.
time. Next time.
Yeah. Who do you think, Corey? Who's gone in a flash? We're only going to get Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, Tony White.
James Williams? I don't know. That's the only thing that comes to mind because just of the way Terrence Knight talked about him. But.
You can't say the offensive line because they're all seniors. We know they're leaving. So this is like I think honestly, I'm going to take your answer from the last question. I'm going to say Deuce Robinson.
Ooh, okay.
I think he's going to be entering the draft. I think he's poised to have a big season. He's got some real tools, and I think he has a chance to be an early round draft pick. So we'll go with him.
All right. Let's talk about Miami Blue Nole wants. Hey guys and fellow Noles, after watching Miami for a couple games, I can see how good their offensive line is at pass protection and giving Carson Beck plenty of time to pick defenses apart. Do you think Tony White will be able to scheme some extra pressure or use some exotic blitz packages to really disrupt his rhythm? I'm really worried about him picking us apart if we don't make him taste the turf a few times.
Yeah, that's going to be the whole there's still 2 games ahead of that one, but I get it because Miami's looked so good and just throttled USF on Saturday. And he looked great. And I thought he looked good against Notre Dame except for a couple throws, one that was like a lucky one-handed touchdown catch that probably should have been intercepted. But he has looked good. And he looks comfortable, and he should be comfortable because he's played a ton of football, ton of big-time football, and he's got a really good offensive line there where he doesn't get hit much. But, I don't think Florida State man for man up front, if they were just going to play it straight with 3 or 4 guys rushing every play, they're going to make a ton of impact on Carson Beck. I think Miami's offensive line, talent-wise, player for player, is probably better than Florida State's defensive line. And I think they can hold up to them well. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I could be wrong. I think that's the case. So that's where the schematics come into play, and you have to do the exotics, and you have to figure out a way to pressure him and confuse them. You're not going to just dominate them physically. They're too good. But you could confuse them. And that's what your hope is in that game, to really pressure Beck, is to confuse the offensive line and to confuse him too. And he's not infallible. Trust me, I've seen the kid throw a bunch of interceptions. It's in him. And he had a good offensive line last year. He's at Georgia, for crying out loud. So yeah, I think that's the plan. Is that James Williams is just going to sit out there and just have 12 pressures. He's going to be blocked. They got good ones. They got good guys on the interior too. But if you could confuse them in every 3 or 4 pass plays, somebody just comes free because they're confused, that's how you change the game and win the game.
The game's going to be incredible. I can't wait. It's going to be old-fashioned, late 80s, 90s, Florida State, Miami.
Right. And that's why I am really legitimately nervous about the Virginia game. Probably too much because it's still going to be a big game either way.
Right.
But if both those teams are undefeated, what that will be like the build-up will start That's Saturday. The build-up will start that Friday night. And then that's Saturday because Miami's off.
Yep.
But there'll be people, they'll be showing the games for the next week. The commercials will be high. The ESPN will already. I bet they might even have a countdown in the corner of their games on Saturday, 6 days, 19 hours until toe meets leather and Doe Campbell said. I wouldn't say that, but it would have in the bottom right corner or something, like a little countdown thing. I'm telling you that is going to be like old school Florida State Miami excitement if they're both unscathed when they get there.
I wonder how long it's going to take for Underdog to throw up some props for that game. Can't wait for that one. Let's go to Underdog Fantasy Sports. Let's see if Corey can bring some of his Biloxi magic to all of his beloved listeners here on the podcast. Syracuse at Clemson, sleepy noon game. Dabo is enraged, Corey.
Yeah, it's a yearly tradition at this point.
Cade Klubnik. I went higher last week on 2.5 passing touchdowns. Where are you, Corey? Higher or lower?
Higher. I think they're going to put it on Syracuse.
Okay.
I think this is what they do, man. It's like every year. Clemson will lose a couple of games or a game, and Dabo starts whining about, nobody appreciating him at Clemson. He'll go somewhere else and coach and blah, blah, blah. And they always seem to respond. So I like Clemson. I know that's not what we're doing here. I think Clemson's going to win the game pretty comfortably, and I think Cade Klubnik, who has not looked good, will have his best game.
Let's go to Oklahoma. They're taking on Auburn. Do you want John Mateer rushing yards or Jackson Arnold rushing yards? Which, by the way, there's rushing or receiving touchdowns. There's passing yards. There's so many things available. I'm just kind of trying to do a little bit of a quicker overlook of things. There's interceptions thrown, longest completion, longest rush for Mateer or Jackson Arnold. Which signal caller do you want to get involved with here, Corey? 50.5 rushing yards for Mateer, 41.5 for Jackson Arnold.
I'm going to say
Jackson Arnold, 174.5 passing yards.
I'm going to do the running with Jackson Arnold.
Okay, we'll go higher.
I think that's higher. Okay. Because I think it's his former team, right?
Yeah.
He's an athlete. He's not a very good pocket passer necessarily, but he can make plays with his legs, and I feel like he's going to want to prove how good he is to that team, and so I think he's going to run like the wind in that game.
Let's add two more. Let's go down to Miami Gardens. DJ Lagway, interceptions thrown half. Higher, lower?
Then a half?
Then one single, 0.5.
Over. Higher. Sorry, Underdog. Higher.
Carson.
I mean, again, he's careless with the football. How else do we phrase it? He is careless with the football, so higher.
What do they just take the air out of the ball? Carson Beck, all we have is passing yards or passing touchdowns. Or we can go to the Malachi Toney, that freshman receiver of theirs. If there's any 26.5 longest reception for Malachi Toney. Or do you want numbers on Carson Beck?
What's Carson Beck's passing yardage?
266.5.
Aye, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But I just think I don't know that Miami's going to be able to just run the ball that well against Florida. So I think to move it, they will have to throw. So I just feel like that's going to be – he's going to – yeah, I think he's going to go over that. It's a big number, though. I was hoping it was like 240.
Yeah.
I'll say over, though.
Higher.
Come on, Underdog. Get it together. Higher.
All right, there's 4 picks. If you put just 10 American dollars on it, you can win $46.20. Or if you do the flex, now that's the flex. So if you only get 3 of them right, you'll get your money back. If you get all 4 right, you'll get $46. If you do the standard pick'em sheet, $77. 7-time multiplier from our guy Corey Clark. Again, Carson Beck, higher passing yardage. DJ Lagway, higher on the interceptions thrown. Jackson Arnold, higher on the rushing yards. Cade Klubnik, higher on his passing touchdowns. Download the app today. Sign up with the promo code WARCHANT to score $50 in bonus funds when you use your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Underdog Fantasy Sports must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchants presented by Vitamin Energy. warchantbogo, your promo code. We left off talking about Miami. Ruth_Noles says, first time asking a question for generating discussion.
All right.
Welcome. If Miami and FSU were both undefeated on October 4th, by the way, they joined on 2019. This is only their third ever post.
Wow. Okay.
Very
well, we should feel honored. I can't wait to hear what we got here.
This is cool, too. It's like there's all sorts of people on warchant.com that listen to the show but don't necessarily comment. Comment on this one for once. Like, make a reply on the tribal council to the show. Like, I do listen.
Involved.
I do listen. I do listen. That's all we need to know. All right, so if both teams are undefeated October 4th, what an atmosphere that will be. Most of my family on my dad's side are all Hurricane fans. I've been a lifelong FSU fan residing in Alabama, so it's been awesome puffing my chest out to all these Bama fans. When is the last time FSU played Miami at home when both were top 5 teams? I love the show, guys. I listen to you guys on my commute to work. Keep up the good work. Go Noles.
They were both top 10 and 13, but that one was different because I think Florida State was probably a 20-point favorite. Like, if Miami had kind of won a few games, they were undefeated, but they weren't very good, and everybody kind of knew it. They hyped it up as a big game. Florida State didn't even play that well and beat them by 30 points. And I feel like the spread was literally like 20-something, even though it was like number 3 versus number 8 or number 3 versus number 6. But so. And before that, they were top 5 when they used to start the season back in 05 and 04 and 06. I feel like they were always ranked really high when they started the season and played those games, those miserable games. You remember those?
Yeah.
The 10-7 and the. Yeah.
So 2003, the rainy game, Miami was 2, Florida State was 5th. 2004 season opener, Miami was 5th, Florida State was 4th. Let's see what 2005, the Muff. No, we were 14th. Miami was 9. So I don't think it bounced back. So 2004 then.
So yeah, but again, those were a season opener.
Yeah.
It was a big deal because it was Florida State and Miami. But obviously, in hindsight, neither one of those teams were great. The 2003, same thing. Good teams, very good teams, very talented teams, and the rain really dampened that one. Pun intended. But I think Miami was the better team. They proved it because they beat them again a few months later. But that's what makes this one so cool, Aslan. It's what reminds me of my childhood is that there's a chance they're both 4-0. Like, they've proven they're really good. And I think there is real – like, again, 2013, Florida State was not losing to that Miami team. They were always going to beat them comfortably. They were just much better. That's not the case, I don't think, with this one. Like, they're both good teams. And there is some real unknown about that game. There is also some star power in that game. And I think the fact that we know what these teams are, you're not starting off the season. You're 4 games in, and they both will have had some marquee wins. It's going to be unlike anything that Florida State and Miami have had in Doak. Literally, man, I think since like 93. Like, I'm just trying to do the math, like the games in my head. Like, I think it's like 1993 is the last time it felt like this even with this kind of stakes, with 2 really good teams, and you didn't know how it was going to play out. And even 93, I think Florida State was a 17-point favorite, which is crazy because Miami was,
third,
undefeated and good. They were like 3rd, but that's how much of a juggernaut Florida State was. That I think they were a 14-point favorite or something because that last pick 6 by Devin Bush covered the spread. Ask me how I remember that. Don't know. But so maybe 91, man. I'm gonna go ahead and say 91. It would be the biggest Florida State Miami game in Doak since Wide Right won.
I was there I was a student. That week leading up to the 2003 game was incredible. So I can't let you totally gloss over. And the rain sucked. The game sucked. but like the buzz, the energy going into that game was crazy.
And that was about the same time of year too, I think, right? Like first week of October, which is where it always should be, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The Florida State Miami game should always be in October. I feel like that was early.
October 11th. Yep.
Yeah, so they both were undefeated, I think.
Correct.
They had both won some games convincingly, struggled in some others. But, yeah, you're right. That was one. It's just, in hindsight, it's been 22 years. I know how the game ended, but also it was so wet and so miserable. And Chris Ricks did keep throwing it to Sean Taylor.
He did.
That was a bit of a bummer. The rain dampened everything about the atmosphere and everything, I thought.
And you were right. I thought you were going a little hyperbolic. I can't pull up the 1993 line. You'll have to tell me what resource you used to find that. But 2013, when they both were top 10, Florida State was a 21.5-point favorite. And they covered.
And they did cover. And they will not be a 21-point favorite in a couple of weeks. I can promise you that.
All right. Let me see here. Maybe let's take one more just so we have some stuff for Friday. Are you down for a live show later today, Corey?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Heck yeah.
Hopefully I'll bring my A game for the live show, folks. I apologize. It was great. A long weekend. I don't feel myself. The words aren't coming. I can barely talk. I can barely function. I'm trying my best, though, to get through it.
This will perk you up then. We've got a mental exercise. We like mental exercises, don't we? We've got SPM jab. As a thought exercise, imagine Jordan Travis in a Gus Malzahn offense. He says office. I'm going to guess offense. Okay. Although, I don't know, maybe like, in the meeting room, he'd be a little bit better. But anyways, Jordan in a Gus Malzahn offense, would he look better than Tommy, or would it be the same?
So he's not as good a runner, but I think he's a better thrower. And we don't know enough of Tommy. We don't have the sample size in this offense to know how quickly he processes and gets it to the right guy. Jordan Travis was exceptional at that. Not just the ball placement, but knowing where to throw to it and reading it quickly. That's the essence of quarterbacking. So I assume that a quarterback like Jordan Travis would excel in any offense. And I think he would do very well in Gus's offense. I just wonder the running element of it.
Yep.
Like, it's a big deal, man, in Gus's offense, especially in big games. The quarterback legs are a weapon. And Jordan Travis not only didn't really run much his last year and a half, but, he before the run of the 19 straight wins, he had proven to be a little injury prone. And look, man, people's bodies just break down. It's not like he's not tough. He was an absolute gamer, but and he was very tough. And he played through injuries, I'm sure, but he did get hurt a lot. And that's what I would worry about. And that's what you worry about with any of these quarterbacks and the way they run. So I just don't know if his legs would have been used anywhere close to the way Tommy's legs have been and will be.
Yeah, it's hard to think how much of a difference it would make. Jordan's throwing acumen, understanding of the concepts to get the passing game going versus Tommy's just ability to just make stuff out of nothing. I mean, listen, Jordan, if you had 2022 Florida game Jordan Travis, like, and I'm not saying like playing at that level, but just the level of escapability that he showed in that game and like the willingness to run.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I give the edge to Jordan.
I do too. Yeah, but I don't think that's the reality, though.
Yeah.
So that's not what we're dealing with. That's what you'd want is yes, but I think they were smart. He lasted until the second to last game of his senior year to limit the running. But, I mean, he got hurt running. No. And so that's, I just think that in this offense, we'll see. We're 2 games in, way too early to make declarations. This might be an absolutely perfect fit. This kid with this coach might be an absolutely perfect fit because there were about 6 plays in the Alabama game. You're like, what in the world? Like, what's a defense supposed to do?
Yeah.
And the one I'm thinking of right now is where the Alabama defensive end comes off the edge clean, doesn't get blocked or barely gets blocked. And not only does he come off clean, he sets himself up where he has leverage, where like Tommy can't get outside of him because he's so far upfield. Tommy's so fast, he still got outside of him and ran around the corner, picked up positive yards, and then got knocked out of bounds and got an extra 15. So a play that I truly feel almost any other quarterback on the planet is a 7-yard loss. So now you're looking at 2nd and 17, and it's probably going to be a punt. You've now gained 20 yards. It's a difference of 27 yards. That's the kind of stuff that doesn't even really show up in the box score that much, but those are game-changing plays, and that's just game-changing athleticism that even a great athlete like Jordan Travis, I don't think he's getting around that kid on the outside and getting to the sideline. He might have thrown the ball away, and you live to see another day, but he's not getting around that guy. This is just a unique ability to run that this quarterback has.
You remember that Devin Bush had a pick 6 in 93 to cover.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Jordan ran for 108 in Raleigh in that loss in 2022, and he had a 71-yard run?
I do. I didn't remember it was in a 108-yard. I do remember the run, though.
I don't remember the
run.
I don't remember the 71-yard run at all.
And because they didn't do a lot offensively. That was one of their highlights.
I remember I remember all the special teams. I remember Mastromano running when he shouldn't have, and then the okey doke punt return before the end of the first half.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really good.
Yeah, and then the not kicking the field goal there at the end.
They needed that in their DNA to come back in 2023 and do the things they did and should have been afforded the opportunity to do more of. Yeah, it's a 47-yard field goal Fitzy hit. That would have been closer than the game-winning one he should have lined up for. Anyways. All right, we're done, Corey. Good job.
We're done. We're done. We did it. I'm sorry, everyone. I'll be better.
Stop.
I'll be better. Look, it's not like I have to apparently the brain cell that remembers that Devin Bush had a pick 6 to ice a 14-point spread and to hit the over. That brain cell's never going to die.
Nope.
But all the other ones, they're slowly leaving my brain. So I apologize to everyone. I will be better tomorrow.
Darwinism, man. Darwinism on the cellular level.
Amen. Amen, brother.
Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Will there be a midweek Seminole headlines?
No, it was on Tuesday without me. So enjoy that big piece of crap those two put out there without me.
You guys at Coach Speak, though, right? Or were you not part of Coach Speak either?
No, we'll do it. We will have a Coach Speak later on, too.
Okay.
So that's that. We'll have that later in the week. I think we put those up on Thursday.
Okay.
I think maybe Friday.
That
I
should
don't
be
remember. But yeah,
that should be a Friday franchise. But that's just
so
me.
We'll have a Coach Speak. So the headlines crew will still get together. It just won't be the actual headlines. And then that was my fault. I was in Biloxi, couldn't make it, and the show must go on. Apparently, I was hoping they wouldn't, but I guess I don't get a vote.
We'll talk to Mike Norvell and select players after practice here on Wednesday. And a reminder that there will be a meet and greet at 1 p.m. Saturday game day over at Hotel Indigo with Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang, plus the meet and greet happy hour at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Friday at 5 o'clock. So if you're in town, come hang out, say hi and what's up, and hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We would appreciate that as well. He's Corey Maslon. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, warchantbogo.